Before I get into this particular tap handle, I just wanted to say a little something about tap handles and tap handle collecting. And to me, it's one of the most important things, and that is love what you love. So, if you have particular tap handles that you are like important to you, certain styles, certain designs that you're a huge fan of, like be all about it. Like just it's that's one of the great things about this hobby is like honestly there's not a ton of people that are going to judge you. There aren't a ton of people that collect tap handles. So it's kind of like do your thing. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is that when I got into tap handle collecting, I like one of the reasons was because I wanted to find some of the old school Sam Adams tap handles. They just were super iconic to me. I really loved them. And so that was one of the first things that I sought out. And going along with that, there's a lot of these tap handles that may not be hard to find, but they're still kind of like iconic in their own way, if that makes sense. So with this style of tap handle, this like Budweiser or Bud Light tap handle, it's just like they've got some of the ones like this that are just like super iconic for that period of time. So I don't know exactly when they like started or stopped producing the tap handles like these ones. There's a couple of different variations that I've seen, but it's one of those things that I kind of like identify with the like late mid to late 80s and into the 90s, just like one of those ones that in a lot of bars you'd see a tap that was like this or a variation on this. And this one, the actual tap itself is a fairly standard pub style design. So when I'm thinking about a pub style tap handle, it's similar to this. You've got a large wooden handle, not super large, but fairly big, enough so that it's like super easy for the bartender to pull. They're also typically a little bit shorter towards the bottom. They're typically flared out near the ferrule, or and then sometimes they'll have the wider ferrule, sometimes they'll have the smaller ferrule, and then it'll be go in a little bit and then flare out a little bit on the top. Some of the pub style ones will have a topper, some of them won't, but it's just a super iconic design. Here you'll notice that this is kind of like a sticker element that goes on there. And with that, it's got it on both sides, so front and back. And you'll notice that with the sticker, that's kind of like how they have the name on there. That it does have that good color blend. So it's something where you do see a little bit of raise there, but the way that these are put on, the way that they're processed, it's typically going to stay on there fairly well. Same with the paint on these. The paint is normally fairly solid. You'll notice on this one you have a few small dents and divots on it. Totally normal. A lot of these ones would get cycled on and off at bars, so they'd be thrown in a box, thrown in back, stuff like that. And then if the bar closed down or something like that, then they might go to collectors. Uh, and then on the bottom here, you do have that standard North American threading. This is a fairly common ferrule that you have here. So this connector is what connects the handle to the actual tap faucet. And this is a fairly common design. It's worth noting that if this is missing, you have to pay attention to a couple of things with these because there's different sizes that these come in. Also, on top of that, there's different threading. So the internal threading that attaches from the handle to the ferrule can be different. So yeah, you kind of have to pay attention if you need to get a replacement for that. So just worth noting there. But the normal threading that attaches to the actual tap faucet is the standard 3816. And then you do have that phenol up there at the top there. And you do want to make sure that if it's tapped like this, you don't have any missing parts. But just a totally classic tap, good solid design. These are the type of things that like a bar would have a tap like this, and they might have this going on tap for a couple of decades, having a handle like this until like their rep tells them to switch it out to something else or something like that. But totally iconic design. You've probably seen it in the past if you've been at a bar that has Bud Light. or maybe not if they've switched over to the modern ones. They've got new aluminum ones, but Bud Light tap handle. Hope you guys enjoy.